But while we're starting to gather for our lovely morning sit, I'll read this one poem. It's by Gilbert. Horses at midnight without a moon. Our heart wanders, lost in the dark woods. Our dream wrestles in the castle of doubt. But there's music in us. Hope is pushed down. But the angel flies up again, taking us with her. The summer mornings begin inch by inch while we sleep, and walk with us later as long-legged beauty through the dirty streets. It's no surprise that danger and suffering surround us. What astonishes is the singing. We know the horses are there in the dark meadow because we can smell them, can hear them breathing. Our spirit persists, like a person struggling through the frozen valley who suddenly smells flowers and realizes the snow is melting. Out of sight, on top of the mountain, knows that spring has begun. And I'm sure we can all feel that sense of spring beginning, the way everything is popping up all over on our morning walks or however we experience spring happening, coming out of some of that darkness, some of that cold darkness. And so just noticing as we settle in our seats, giving you the official good morning greeting, welcoming everyone of every age and ethnicity, our various cultural heritages and religious backgrounds, socioeconomic group and ability, sexual orientation and gender identity. Welcoming everyone. We study together and practice for the benefit of all beings and this living earth, recognizing the suffering caused by biases and prejudices, systems of power and privilege and oppression based on race and sex and class and age and ethnicity, national origin, gender identity. We aspire to do no harm and to dismantle barriers that cause separation and suffering, recognizing that our liberation is interconnected with the liberation of all. And it's also important to acknowledge the lands that we live on. Some of us are from other places, so here in Portland, we have the indigenous peoples of the Clackamas and the Cowlitz, the 7 tribes of the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde, and the 27 bands of Confederated Tribes of Siletz. And we respectfully acknowledge all indigenous communities for the past and the present and in the future. They were forced to leave their lands for the benefit of colonists and settlers, and acknowledging the impact of genocide and relocation and assimilation that still impacts many of the indigenous families today. And so being grateful for their stewardship of these lands and acknowledging the benefit that we continue to receive. Committing to remain mindful and make ongoing efforts to recognize their knowledge, their creativity, and their resilience. And also acknowledging the Asian immigrants in the 19th century that came to the United States in significant numbers and arrived thanks to the gold rush. Many diverse immigrant Buddhist congregations have popped up all over, and there are lots of them here in Portland, from Sri Lanka and China, Japan, there are Korean Buddhists and Thai Buddhists, Cambodian Buddhists and Vietnam Buddhists. And so it is with acknowledgement, paying homage to all of our ancestors who have allowed us and supported us and given us this opportunity to deal with these perplexities of America's racial karma and guided by our countless ancestors, named and unnamed. So hopefully we are ancestors too. And when we
Recording
die,
in progress.
We want to conduct ourselves in a way that merits the veneration of our descendants. So may we be fortunate enough to have these future generations recite our names. And we also have in this lineage of our privilege of being born human in this life, the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. Acknowledging the ability to awaken in this lifetime, to be able to hear the Buddha's teachings and discover for ourselves how to become free of our suffering. And we have each other in this Sangha, and we have the larger Sanghas from generations, 2,600 plus years ago. The appreciation of the monks and nuns and lay people that have passed on the teachings orally for 500 years before it was written down. And with all of that support, we have a container of stability and safety. As I ring the bell this morning, letting the sound come to the ears. Gathering our hearts, minds, bodies together in this one anchor of the body. Letting ourselves be gentle and compassionate as we find the right position to be able to be still for a while. Let the body still and allow the mind to do what it does. Sometimes it's very busy. Sometimes there's more calmness. We're here to bring mindfulness to the fore. Let awareness be present. As we begin to settle, we may notice gravity bringing us to our seats. We can feel the pressure of our buttocks on the cushion or the chair, our feet on the floor, or maybe the place where our hands touch or our arms touch. Noticing sensations of pressure or heat or tingling, whatever is known, whatever is known to this heart and mind is experienced. We ground ourselves in this practice, in this container of our body breathing. We may begin our practice by noticing the quality of the breath as it moves in and out through the nostrils, or as we notice it at the diaphragm. We may notice coolness or warmth. Or maybe pressure and the release of pressure. Establishing an anchor for our hearts, our minds to return to. Buddha was very pragmatic. He didn't philosophize about the nature of reality. He gave us simple, basic guidelines about how we can manage challenges and difficulties of life. Starting with the basic human condition, that we get disappointed, we suffer, we have difficulties. And it can take many forms: anxiety, tension, stress, grief, fear, dissatisfaction. And he emphasized that suffering is workable, that we can engage with our suffering in such a way to be freed from it. By being present, by developing some concentration, mindfulness, confidence, and discerning wisdom, with just enough effort to be interested in what's happening. And so we attend to what's happening in this moment. Breath after breath. We may notice the mind jumping all over the place, restless. Sometimes it's agitated. Sometimes it's grasping. Sometimes there's sleepiness that arises, or even doubt in the practice. But with mindfulness there at the fore, we can see these hindrances as they arise and know that they're just part of our human existence, that we are developing concentration and confidence in the path to see that from our own experience the practice can be helpful. And as we remain returning to that anchor of the breath or the touch point, we may begin to notice more stability and more calm. Or we may notice that if we cling to something that's a pleasant mind state, it passes. Or we try to push away something that's unpleasant, it passes too. And so we can really see the constantly changing nature of what comes to our mind. And so this development of this stream of continuity of awareness happens on our sitting cushion, and it happens throughout our daily activities as well, as we develop confidence in the practice. We may notice that our breath is long or short, or that it's warm or cool. Rough or smooth. Being present in this moment with the breath as our anchor, or a touch point as our anchor. with just enough effort that isn't either strained or complacent. Sometimes we have to exert heroic effort to stay present in this very experience. And other times the effort is easy and delightful. We allow awareness to do its work. We let mindfulness be present, the simple capacity to track what's happening in the present. And we learn to recognize what's happening without resistance or conflict, holding or clinging. And as our attention becomes more stable and the forces of distraction weaken, we develop deeper concentration. We might notice the mind is less fragmented, and it can become composed, focused, unified. Concentration can help mindfulness penetrate beneath the surface chatter of the mind and see what's going on at a deeper level. as we begin seeing moment to moment the constantly changing nature of what arises in our bodies and in our minds, having just enough effort and mindfulness, engaged, awake and aware. We can also notice that wisdom is present. It helps us determine what movements of the mind and heart, which thoughts and feelings are useful, and what we can let go of, what we want to develop further. Holding ourselves in kindness and compassion as we wander off and come back. Sometimes noticing wisdom arise can be challenging. But we can usually notice that the busy mind doesn't really know what it needs. And so with wisdom, we can take a kind of responsibility for where our mind is inclining, letting go of unskillful, repetitive, negative thoughts that arise, and supporting and encouraging what's conducive to greater peace. Sometimes we just wake up in our practice. We don't know really what we're doing or where we are, or we're kind of confused, or we just begin again. Go back to that anchor of the breath or the touch point. Or in this very moment, just noticing whatever moment we're becoming more aware in. We can put the feeling tone with it. Is it pleasant or unpleasant? Or maybe neutral, or we can't tell. This is where developing interest, investigation, with persistent effort, enough to be aware and awake, but not so much that we're over striving. But everything that comes into the mind is worthy of our awareness. And it's our practice material because it's what is present at this time. And as we develop this faculty of wisdom and discernment, we can notice if what's happening in our practice is creating stress. This discernment will show that. As the mind settles down, we can learn how to let go of unskillful thoughts and feelings and emotions. And the process is self-correcting. It guides the mind toward greater peace and freedom. Regularly beginning again when we wake up in this moment. Having those consistent moments of mindfulness and awareness strung together can bring confidence and faith in the practice with this gently persisting effort with mindfulness and concentration, wisdom and discernment, all skills that we already have, but recognizing and cultivating them as part of our meditation practice helps us develop our meditation and also manage our life experience to benefit ourselves and others. And as we hold ourselves in this place of spaciousness, this container of our body breathing, we hold ourselves kindly and gently. Hold ourselves in goodwill, that we may be at ease. Find greater peace and freedom. Letting go of any ill will we may have for ourselves. Or noticing when it goes. Noticing those moments of joy, waking up in the present moment. This subtle, tranquil kind of joy. And may we hold within our container of our heart the well-being of another person, a friend or a teacher, a benefactor. Wishing them to be at ease, free from anxiety, free from ill will. May they have happiness and the causes of happiness. May we hold within the spaciousness of our hearts this kindness, a sense of compassion for others when things are difficult. May this friend or benefactor have compassion for themselves. Just as we have compassion for them. And may we also include in this great cauldron of our hearts a neutral person, someone we don't really know or don't have an opinion about. Knowing just as I wish to be happy, I know that you also wish to be happy. This could be someone you saw at the store recently, or out on the street on a walk, or while looking at your device. It could be a single person or a group of people. May this being or these beings be free from harm, safe and protected. May they have ease in their lives. As we develop this feeling of kindness and compassion, it can help open our hearts. We receive this kindness and compassion back again. It's really this development of non-harming and kindness toward all beings. Some that might not please us so much. There might be difficulties in our lives or a difficult person that we need to deal with. They too wish to be happy. And if we can find with some neutrality the ability to hold them in our hearts, we become less constricted around it. And may we include in this nurturing of our hearts all beings that swim and crawl and walk, fly, beings known and unknown, those seen and unseen, those who are enlightened and those who are unenlightened, those in joy and those in sorrow. May all beings everywhere have happiness and the causes of happiness. Be free from harm, safe and protected. And I'm going to take a moment to chant the reflections on universal well-being. May I abide in well-being, in freedom from affliction, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may I maintain well-being in myself. May everyone abide in well-being, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety. May they maintain well-being in themselves. May all beings be released from all suffering, and may they not be parted from the good fortune they have attained. When they act upon intention, all beings are the owners of their action and inherit its results. Their future is born from such action, companion to such action, and its results will be their home. All actions with intentions, be they skillful or harmful, of such acts they will be their heir. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings have joy and the causes of joy. May all sentient beings remain in great equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May I stay in the center with steadfastness. May I be with things just as they are. May I be present with whatever is happening around me. And as we can see from our practice, all conditioned things arise and pass away. And seeing this clearly with mindfulness brings the greatest happiness, which is peace. I thank you so much for your practice this morning, and may you keep in mind and really know that the goodness of this practice, no matter what happens as we're sitting on our cushion, it is of great benefit to all beings, to ourselves and all beings. And it can give us great joy to know that we are doing this practice, and that so are others in this group and all around the world for generations. This happiness can continue as we see clearly anicca, anatta, and dukkha. Thank you for your practice.